I used to be endlessly frustrated with AI coding, and I couldn't get these code agents to work properly at all. But then I sat down to create a simple 3-step system that I'll be sharing with you in this video today, because this system helps me be much more consistent, and I want to share it because I think everyone deserves to learn how to code with AI properly, because this is the way that we can create much more cool software together. So friends, let's jump right into it. To show you that the system works, I have a complete full stack application open in my code editor here. And I'm just going to quickly show what this application is all about. So in my browser, I already got the page open here. And this is just a web application that I'm developing so you can learn AI engineering at scale. It's a full stack web app with regular users, admins, course creators, and of course, typical things like signing in, registration, checking out your dashboard, having your own custom user profile. And of course, some of this is clearly still work in progress, but the application is already functional and it is a full stack application. Now, what we're going to be implementing today is a course overview page, because if I click on the page courses, you will actually see that it redirects to a 404 because I've not implemented this yet. Now, the big mistake that a lot of people make, regardless of what AI editor they use, is that they jump into the agent and they just type out, create the courses page for me with features X, Y, and Z. But actually, if you take it iteratively and you first make the agent aware of how the solution works at the moment, what your exact requirements are for the feature, and then your specific request, you will see that your results are much better. So I'm actually going to start by actually giving the model a good overview of how our solution works at the moment, because this is how you would work as a software development. You don't start without any knowledge of how the app works. You've got a mental model of how the application works. And so similarly, you need to provide the AI agent with a mental model of the application. And don't worry if that sounds complex. It's actually quite intuitive, and I'm going to walk you through everything today. So let's work on step 1, providing the AI model with a mental model of how the application works. So when you're working with a existing code repository, instead of trying to just slam AI coding right into it, you need to make sure that your AI code editor actually understands how the application works in the first place. Now, when you ask a AI agent like Copilot a question like, can you add feature XYZ? Usually it will try and scan a couple of files to get a rough idea of how the application works. But it's much better to always provide a mental model of the entire application to the AI coding system. And this is strategy number 1. You want to have a clear document that describes the whole architecture of your application from multiple perspectives. So how do we approach that? Well, actually, what I want to do is I want to give Copilot the instruction to first explore my repository and describe how it works in detail, including technical diagrams written with Mermaid. Now, if you don't know Mermaid, no worries, we're going to get right into it, but this is an essential strategy to make sure that whatever follow-up question you have will be answered much more accurately by the AI system. So let's go ahead and type a prompt that will actually enable Copilot to investigate the entire repository and create this architectural document. So what we're going to ask it to do is to explore the entire repository to understand the code base from multiple angles as a software architect, software developer, and product manager, because you also need this document to describe what the application does, right? I want you to compile your findings into a very extensive Markdown document in the root of the repository. For describing technical concepts, you should include mermaid diagrams in this Markdown file. And what we're going to be doing later is we're going to be adding this file to our Copilot chat instructions. Now, if you're not using Copilot, but some other AI editor, this is going to work in the exact same way. So you don't have to worry about that. They're all pretty similar nowadays. So let's just let it explore the code base. And while it's doing that, I also want to explain to you roughly how the code here works so that you also know what we're working with. So you can indeed see it's starting to read things like package.json because this is indeed a full stack Node.js application. And you can see that it's starting to read a lot of important configuration files as well as our schema for the database. So indeed, it's starting to get somewhere, and we'll just let it run for a couple minutes and I'll come back to you when it's finished. All right, so after just a couple of minutes, Copilot has created this AI Academy analysis markdown document. Now, just to make it more readable, I'm going to open up my markdown preview, and then you will see that it's actually a pretty big document already. We've got a software architecture analysis, a software developer analysis, and a product management analysis. And if I scroll down here, you will actually see that there's quite a lot of diagrams here. And these diagrams are made with Mermaid. So in the markdown code, you can actually see that the diagrams are written in text, but then they're able to be rendered in markdown. And the great part about this is that as a human, I can interpret these diagrams pretty easily, but even an AI model is able to read and understand them. And so there's a diagram for just the overall flow of the application. There's a specific, very extensive diagram for the authentication of the app, and it would take me a long time to create this diagram manually. So this is already really nice, as well as things like a overview of all the database tables. And if we keep scrolling, we can even see a product management perspective of the application, namely checking out which features are already there and which features are fully implemented or not. Now, this document is going to get outdated as developers work in this application, but the great part is that you can always ask Copilot or whatever AI system you're using to update the document based on the latest code. Now then, how do you make sure that your AI editor always uses this document? Well, depending on your AI editor, the setting you need to configure is different, but every AI editor has this capability. In the case of Visual Studio Code, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go to my user settings, and then you have this setting called GitHub Copilot Chat Code Generation Instructions. And you can always include a specific file with your Copilot conversation. So in my case, I'm actually just going to type a new object. Then I'm going to call this file. And then I'm going to give it a custom name because, of course, we want to map it to this AI Academy underscore analysis markdown file. So this is only going to work if I'm actually in this AI Academy repository, but that's fine because of course that is the scope in which we are working at the moment. So this is going to work for me, which is great. So I'm going to go ahead and actually just click on keep here at the bottom right of the AI agent because I'm happy with the result here. And then let's click done and we are ready to go. So we have this markdown file and it's all finished. So just to prove that this actually works, I'm going to open a completely new chat. And then I'm going to make sure that I quit all of my open files. And then let's ask it something like, briefly describe the architecture of this app without reading new files. There we go. And then you see here it says used one reference, and the AI Academy analysis markdown file is included. And you can see that it's actually giving me all of this output, like how it's being built with Tailwind CSS, purely based on that markdown file. So this is great. We're always including the relevant context of the app without it having to first read a bunch of files. And this is great because the AI system having to read a bunch of files is also going to distract it from the actual task that you ask it to perform. Now for step 2. I want to develop this new courses feature, right? But instead of just moving into a new chat and asking to create a courses page, I need to be a bit more structured about the requirements that I actually want for this page. So let's go ahead and open a new chat and ask it to think as a product manager to create a PRD, a product requirements document. So I want you to act as a product manager for the AI Academy web app. We need a courses overview page with standardized best practices, which you also find on other popular content management systems. Do not code anything yet. Instead, deeply think about which requirements we need and how the page should operate, and describe the user stories in detail in a product requirements document markdown file. Now, before I just submit this question, I want you to realize that this is where choosing different models can be very useful because some models are better at creative thinking than others. So for example, if I want to use a thinking model, in this case, I can switch to the ask mode, and then I can actually switch to Claude 3.7 Sonnet thinking, which might be a bit more appropriate here so that it will actually think deeply about my question. So I'm going to go and rerun it without this workspace feature. And in this case, because we're not working in agent mode, it might not be creating a file autonomously, but I can just paste whatever it is giving to me right now in a separate document. All right, so it's passed the product requirements document to me, and I already had a look at this document and I was very impressed by it because it covers a lot of aspects of what we need, but you also see a lot of references here that are taken straight from the analysis document of the application. For example, the user personas and needs section here. Well, this actually comes from the user persona section that we have in this analysis document. So this actually shows you how useful this step-by-step system is because you will make sure that all of your PRDs will actually follow up on all the user personas that you have for your application. You can see here that you've got the students, mentors, and administrators, and that comes back in here with all of their primary needs. So then we've got all the user stories. For example, as a student, I want to browse all available courses, and we've got a lot more. We've got the functional requirements. We've got a lot of extra requirements like performance, responsiveness, accessibility, and not all of this might be implemented by the AI system in one shot. But the nice thing is that you can always iterate and ask, well, which aspects of this PRD have actually been implemented in the code so far. So you can keep the AI system a little bit more accountable for what it's working on, which is really nice. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just right click here and copy this entire response. Again, because I was not in agent mode, it didn't actually create a new document for me, but that's just because I wanted to use the thinking model. So in my case, what I'm actually going to do is I'm just going to create a new folder and just call it PRDs and just put it in there. So we'll call it 000, probably just something simple like course dashboard, markdown, and paste it in here. All right, so what do we do now? Well, we are already very close to asking the AI model to just start work on this. So I'm going to create a new chat once again. And because I opened this PRD here, you can see that it's already included in the context of Copilot. So I'm going to switch to agent mode. And then I'm going to switch to, in my case, I like Claude 3.7 Sonnet. And then I'm going to ask it to fully implement this PRD as an MVP, for now making sure that you just use static front-end data. We will implement real course information in the database later. So you can see here how, as a third step, I'm finally asking the AI model to start implementing something. But even then, I don't just say, fully implement this PRD, make sure everything's in place. I ask it to implement the PRD as an MVP. And for now, the MVP for this video is that I just wanted to create all those front-end components and use a lot of static data. And then later on, it can change the database as it wants, and we will create some new dummy data to be inserted there. But I feel like doing all of that in a single prompt is probably going to overwhelm the AI model. So you can see here, again, it is using that one reference, the AI Academy analysis, and it is searching the code base for some more relevant documents to get a better idea of how, for example, the front-end components are actually created. And that's a good sign because it's probably going to follow the existing patterns in the repository quite well. So that's perfect. I'm going to go ahead and just let it run and continue all of the steps here. And then when the AI agent is done, I'll be back with you again. All right, so I came back after some minutes. I don't know how long this took. I made myself a cup of tea, but in the meantime, it seems like Copilot agent is actually done. So let's go ahead and check out our web app, first of all, if everything seems to look good and if our courses page actually works. So my page automatically refreshed, and you can indeed see that we've got a lot of very functional components. We've got a search feature. We can filter on different categories. We can actually filter on two different views. We've got like this little card component, and we can change it into a big list view. we can actually search for courses. So for example, I can maybe just search for NLP. And of course, this is all dummy data. I need to move this into my database later, but that's the nice approach of taking it step by step. And because I'm doing it so carefully, we already have a lot of functional front-end components, and all we have to do is just plug it into our database later on, which is great. Now we can even sort on, newest, alphabetical, and if we scroll down, that seems to work just fine. So it seems to make a distinction between the all courses list and the continue learning, which is something that maybe we want to change later, but hey, that's a small implementation detail. And now, of course, I assume that when I click continue, this is going to lead to a 404. That makes total sense because we're just working on the courses overview page. So you can see that when you take things step by step, you get very consistent results. And I can proceed now with sort of a iterative feedback loop, because I can ask it to continue progress on this and create the database connections. But the way I like to approach it is also to make sure that I save my progress, because I'm probably not going to do everything in just a single chat. Now, when I say save my progress, I don't mean just the code. I also mean the progress of how much the current implementation aligns with the product requirements document. So when I go back to Visual Studio Code, I can actually ask it to modify the original product requirements document and add a section where you describe how far along the current implementation is. Now, in practice, this could be like actually editing a GitHub or other tracking issue. And the idea behind actually making the agent do this is that when you open a new chat or another developer continues work, then the agent is also aware of how far along the implementation is at that moment. So now you can see that it's actually reading the entire PRD, and then it's going to compare that with all of the changes that it made. And then let's see what section it will add in the PRD to understand how far we are of implementing it. Now, as you can see, it's actually added a new section to the PRD called implementation status. And you can see here that it created the course cards, the filtering and sorting, but it will also say what it has not implemented. So for example, you can see here that there's some partially required. So for example, you can see here that there's some partially completed requirements, and we have the complete pending requirements. Because this is a pretty basic implementation, we don't have fancy things like lazy loading or a caching strategy, but that's also why I asked it to implement it as an MVP. And you can even see that it created the next steps for us. For example, connecting the interface to the actual database using Prisma, and of course, injecting the data. And here too, you can see that it knows that we're using Prisma as kind of our ORM system, because that was written in that very original architectural document. So this just shows how these 3 steps really work together to give you a much more consistent AI coding experience. And the sky in your imagination is really the limit. So what I would say is go out there, go create some apps with this method, and let me know how it works in the comments down below. If you're interested in actually learning even more advanced AI coding strategies, then you can join my AI native engineering community in the link in the description below, and I hope to see you there.